Most people don't have a money problem. They have an identity that's still protecting an old version of themselves. And until that changes, the same patterns keep repeating. Not because you're not disciplined enough, but because your nervous system is incredibly loyal to who it believes you are. So today, we're going to gently begin changing that by experiencing a different possibility. And by the end of this episode, our goal is for you to experience a shift that changes the way you think and feel about your money identity. Welcome to the Wellness Way Energetics. I'm Susan Flerchinger.
And I'm Jennifer Farrar. We're so glad and excited that you are here with us today. And if you've been with us through this Money Reset series, you've already discovered a little bit about your relationship with money, because we know it didn't begin with your first paycheck. It began so much earlier. Your identity was created in your childhood. And in this series, we've explored money safety, your earliest money stories, and so much more, your hidden beliefs and your capacity to hold on to and receive money.
Today, we are taking the next step because once you recognize those patterns and begin to shift them, the question becomes, who do I become now?
Whew, that's a loaded question. And I think it's one of the most hopeful questions to ask yourself, because we're no longer looking backward. We're experiencing and looking forward. How's that for change?
Yes, love it.
So, Susan, have you ever noticed what people say to you, what your clients say to you around money? You know, things like, I've always been bad with money. Money just fritters through my fingers. I'm not ever able to hold on to it. I always just overspend, and I'm just not disciplined. Almost as if those statements are facts.
Yes, that's what fascinates me. These statements usually aren't observations, they're identities. They become labels. And once something becomes part of your identity, your brain begins looking for the evidence that is true. And that's called your reticular activating system. We did a whole episode in season 1, episode 16, on how that works. So if you believe I'm bad with money, every mistake proves it. Every success gets dismissed because our identity is always trying to stay consistent.
And that's actually very, very comforting to the nervous system. Even if that identity of I'm just bad with money doesn't serve us, because it's familiar often feels safer than the unfamiliar.
So true. The nervous system isn't asking, is this identity helping me? It's asking, is this the person I know how to be? That's a completely different question. And that's why change can feel uncomfortable. Not because it's wrong, but it's unfamiliar.
So let's experience this together. No journal needed. This is experience. We're not going to write anything down. We just want you to notice. Just notice. So place your one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. We've done this before. And take in one slow, deep breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. We're going to do that one more time. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And now, just very gently, ask yourself this. Who have I believed I am around money? Don't analyze. Don't judge. Notice what came up first. Now ask yourself, where did I first learn that money identity? And you can even say, when did I learn? Don't force it. Notice. And take a slow, deep breath in. Now we're going to ask one more question. What if that identity was not the truth? What else might be possible? Let that question sit for a minute. What else or what other identity might be possible? Think about that for a second. There's no pressure. There's no right or wrong answer. Sometimes possibility arrives before certainty. Take one small, short, deep breath in and out. Simply notice how your body feels now after asking those questions. And that's enough. Susan, what did you experience?
When you first asked the question, the first one, I had that answer of who I believed I was around money. And it felt, well, it wasn't a bad thing. It was safe, but it felt heavy. I noticed I was only 7 when that showed up, but it was very constricting. And so when you said what else might be possible, it's like everything opened up and okay, I can let go of that and think differently. Just in asking the questions in those order and ending that with what might be possible, it changed my whole physical body, the feeling of it, the tenseness of it, to be just open and moving again. That was awesome. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to give you an example of what else is possible. I'm going off script here. I have in the past helped with a charity called helpaheart.org, and I have gone around my town and asked for gifts for a silent auction as their main fundraiser. And I walked into this gym and I knew the owner, but the owner wasn't there. And the lady at the desk said, "Well, the marketing director's here." And I gave my spiel, I gave all of the tax stuff, and I said, and she's like, "I'm not feeling it." I could see in her face she wasn't feeling giving donations, and all I was asking for was like a monthly pass, like one monthly pass. And she's like, "Ugh." In my head, I'm saying, "What else is possible here? What else is possible here?" And then I heard very clearly, "Ask for a tour," because even though I knew the owner, I'd never been in the building before. And I said, "Can I have a tour?" And she just lit up. And we go through the
Yes.
tour, and I'm asking myself, what else is possible here? What else is possible here? And then I hear, "Tell your story." And I'm like, "Tell my story? I don't have a story." "Tell your story." Well, my younger brother had a stroke, and I was with him in the hospital for 3 months. I was attending to him, and there was no place for me to exercise. There was no place. I just kind of sat in his hospital room. And where I'm located, we're literally 8 to 10 minutes away from the hospital. I told her that story, and I know the director of the children's hospital here. And all of these marketing things popped into her head. And it was amazing. She's like, "Just wait, just go back in the lobby." And she gave me like 5 monthly passes, daily passes, weekly passes, and I just wanted one. I don't know what happened with her marketing attempts, but that's the power of that exercise. What else is possible?
Your story absolutely shivers me up with just that joy and that truth. And truly, that is the best question to shift part of that identity. And you can just come back to those because each time you do, it strengthens a different pathway, a different way. Just like you said, I did it for this. And then I said it for, what else is possible? I said it here. And then I said it here for this because it just keeps creating a different outcome and experience with what else.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it keeps creating space for new possibilities. How cool is that? So one of my biggest shifts, because I experienced this, is I realized I didn't have to spend so much of my energy fixing my old self.
Yes.
Fixing the old version of me. I could begin strengthening a new version of me. I could begin activating the reticular activating system for my benefit. How cool is that? And because most of us spend years, and I sort of did it again this morning with another incident in my life, arguing with the past. And what happens? Nothing changes. You're just making yourself angry and miserable in the present. And we're trying to convince ourselves not to think certain thoughts. And when you try to convince yourself not to think certain thoughts, guess what? You're going to think those thoughts. And
Right.
we're also trying not to feel certain emotions, same thing. And we're trying not to react in familiar ways. But I'm going to ask this question. What if instead of practicing the old version, the old way, you begin practicing something different, something to your betterment? Not pretending, not performing, but practicing. Because every time you choose a new identity, and in this series, a money identity, you're teaching your nervous system something new. You're saying, this is safe now. This is me. And that is where lasting change happens.
Oh, man, I love that word for sure, practicing. So many people think they have to get it perfect. You don't. You simply return, practice again, and you see what works. Try this again. And every return again strengthens a different pathway.
Exactly. Well, and I was one of those I have to get it perfect the first time, which we all know is ridiculous because how do children learn? They learn by practicing. They stand up, they fall down. They stand up, they fall down. They grab a hold of the couch and take one little step, fall down. So we know that you have to practice because your identity isn't just built on one thought or one emotion or one decision. It's built on hundreds of small moments, hundreds of them throughout your young childhood and your young adulthood. It's not just one choice or one breath or one response. It's one different decision at a time.
Okay. Well, I would love to invite you into another short experience. If you're driving, simply listen. Otherwise, allow yourself to become comfortable. You can take that slow breath in and gently exhale. Imagine yourself 6 months from today. Again, not something magical didn't necessarily happen, but because you've consistently practiced becoming someone new. Notice where you are. Don't need to force an image. Just notice whatever comes naturally. Maybe it's a room, favorite chair, outside in nature. Perhaps you just simply sense a feeling. There's no right way. Just now notice yourself. How are you standing? How are you breathing? What expression is on your face? Notice your shoulders. Are they carrying pressure or have they softened? Notice your jaw, your hands, your breathing. This version of you isn't pretending. It simply no longer believes survival has to lead the decision. Now imagine this future version of you quietly looking at you with complete kindness, no judgment, no disappointment, only understanding because they remember exactly where you are today. Perhaps they smile, not because everything's perfect, but because they know something you don't yet fully know. That change was possible. Now imagine walking toward this future version of yourself. With every step, you become just a little more alike by remembering. When you reach them, notice what happens. Perhaps they place a hand on your shoulder. Perhaps simply a welcoming smile. Perhaps nothing happens. Maybe there's a feeling of peace. All of that is perfect. Now quietly ask, what is one thing you want me to remember this week? What is one thing you want me to remember this week? Don't search, simply receive. Whatever comes, trust it. One word, one feeling. And now ask one final question. How do you make money decisions differently than I do today? Notice not the amount of money, the way you think, the way you breathe, the way you trust, the way you pause before reacting, the way you receive and carry yourself. How do you make money decisions differently than I do today? Now imagine that future version gently saying, you don't have to become me all at once. Just make one choice today from where I'm standing. Take one slow breath and imagine the future version placing a light in the center of your heart. Simply reminding you of something that's always been there. Take another breath. Allow the calm, the steadiness, the confidence to gently settle and smile throughout your body. And with one more breath, bring your awareness back to this moment. Jennifer, I'd love to ask you something, not to analyze, just to notice what felt different today. One word, one image, one emotion. Maybe what felt calmer.
Definitely calmer was one. One word. Oh gosh. I don't know if I could describe it in one word.
Yeah, one vision, one feeling.
Definitely, I felt strong, I guess stronger, more within myself. And I wasn't questioning my worth. And that's the new me because I can get in my own way very easily.
Okay.
And the vision of me, I was still in my office. I don't have a home office. I actually have an office away from my house. But my office was full of people. So I was
Mm.
teaching again. I was talking again because for a while now I've kind of hidden myself in my office and because I have a tendency to just go within, and it became me going outward again. Not with oh gosh, I should be doing this. It was, no, this is what I was doing.
Oh, wow, absolutely beautiful. One thing I love about experiences like this is we're not trying to convince ourselves with, positive thinking. We're allowing our systems, our being to experience a different possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Man, your body learns through these experiences, not just information, but every time you can return to this future version, you're strengthening a new identity. It's built on trust, not fear, trust.
I'm looking forward to doing this exercise over and over again because I really liked the version of 6 months from now. I really
Yes.
liked her. It's not that she was egotistical in her strength. It was like, this is who I am. And it wasn't take it or leave it kind of energy. It really was, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. And people were coming because they needed whatever I had to offer. And as always, like you and I both know, We offer it from the heart. Well, I have one question for myself, for you, and for our viewing audience is instead of asking, what should I do? What should I do now? Try asking, for future version of me should I choose? You can have multiple different ones. Which one is the best for me? And that changes everything. And we want to know what that changes for you. So remember, this isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about realizing what no longer fits in your life, what no longer serves you in your life. So the more authentic you can be with yourself, the more authentic people are going to see that authenticity and they're going to be drawn to you. So you don't need a bunch of new habits this week or ever. You just need one. Become the future version of yourself. Just one moment of trust that you repeat consistently.
Beautiful. So I'll just ask if you've experienced just one small shift, write it down in the comments. It helps it become concrete
Down
and
below.
helps move you in that direction. And with who you're choosing to become now, let it become a gentle reminder because identity grows through repetition.
Yes, it does. So share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you again in our next episode of the Money Reset series. Have a great week.